Hi, Kitchen Kings and Queens. We are back from our field trip and we are going to get started on our turkey. Okay, the star of the show. Okay, so this is the turkey. Okay, this is what we call a fresh kill turkey. Okay, so a fresh kill turkey means that it's not frozen. Okay, it's a turkey that was um, killed and then chilled. Okay, and that's what I prefer. Okay, the turkey I wanted, because we have a smaller group this year, I only wanted a 16-pound turkey. What I got was an 18, almost 19-pound turkey. Okay, so we got a lot of turkey. We're going to have a lot of leftovers, which is fine by me. Okay, so we're going to prepare the turkey now. Okay, and this is the turkey. So we saw the farm, Jandal. It's a very good place. It was a very nice experience. They were very kind, and it was just a whole family affair there. They had the kids running the register, and they did a special request for me and went back into the plant to get um, some A-Treat soda that I wanted to get. And it's just a very nice place. So if you have farms near you, please support them. The more farms we have, the more quality food we have, um, and the better the environment is. It's just farms really bring a lot of uh, joy to an area. They just create a very nice vibe. They also treat their animals better. Okay, so if you're eating meat, you know where the animals came from. You can see how the animals are treated. That's why I like to go there. They have been highly rated by the Humane Society for treatment of animals. They have the whole process right there. They hatch the um, turkey chicks, they raise them, and they process them all right there. So there's not that stress and anxiety that the animals have for travel. It's not a large factory farm operation. It's just a very old fashioned uh, small farm like farm should be. And these farms or these turkeys you can get nationwide. They are in Wegmans, Turkey is, Jandal, um, Whole Foods, Turkey is Jandal, and there's a couple other ones. So if you go to their website, you could see all the places where their turkey are available for purchase. Okay, so we're gonna get started with the turkey, and I'm gonna start on this sheet pan. I'm going to cook the turkey in a little bit different of a way than most normally do. We're gonna roast it in a roasting bag. Okay. Now that may seem weird, but it is the only way to really get a carcass this big in a Dutch oven type situation. Okay, so if you had a huge Dutch oven that could fit this, wonderful. But I don't have that, and I don't think most people do. And I don't even know if they make one large enough for this turkey. So these bags, as strange as it sounds, they are a really good way to get that effect. So the good thing about using a Dutch oven or an enclosed cooking technique is that you basically trap in the moisture. So there's no release of all the steam. The meat stays nice and moist, and you get a lot of juice too that doesn't evaporate into the oven cavity. Okay, so this is really a good way to do this. If you are squeamish about the bags, and I understand that some people may be, they are not BPA or they are BPA free. And they are made of nylon. Okay, so they're not your typical plastic. They're designed for ovens. They don't melt, and they are a good option for this. If you want to do the same technique, but you are squeamish about using the bags, you can go into your cabinet or your drawer, grab your good old friend Mr. Parchment paper, and you can make a parchment satch for that. It will do the same thing. It will be as tender and juicy and do the exact same effect. Okay, so if you don't want to use the bags, that's fine. Use the parchment. But try this method because it really does make a great turkey. It also makes a turkey that you can hold and put on a buffet. So because we have so few people, and my sister-in-law and her parents and my brother have to go to her family for a second Thanksgiving, we're having this early and we're having it as a buffet so that they can eat and we can all enjoy our time together, and then they can go without it being rushed for anyone. So that's kind of why I'm doing it this way as opposed to how I would normally do it, which is in a roaster, an electric roaster, and then that would free up the space in my oven for the side dishes. Okay, but this way really is exceptional. Okay, so to prepare the bag, which we'll start with, you need about a tablespoon of flour. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball it because it's okay if it has a little bit more. Because what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to loosely do this, and we're going to make sure all the sides get coated in the flour mixture. Okay, so we're going to leave that in there. And I'm going to actually leave the flour in there because we're going to, the drippings from here, I'm going to use to make the gravy. And it's much better to kind of have this flour already in the drippings than to have to add it in there as a slurry or as like a light roux. Okay, so we're just going to put that off to the side because that is ready now. Now we're going to prepare the turkey. Okay, so before I get started on that, I'm going to just rinse my hands here so that we're ready to rock and roll. Okay, and I'm going to leave this paper towel because we're going to want to use that. In the meantime, I'm going to check on my bread. Oh, yes. Okay. Wonderful. So I'm also preparing the bread for the stuffing here. Okay. So this is what we want, which is the dried out breadcrumbs. So I'm going to put those aside here. They are nice and dry, and they are ready to be used. Okay, so back to our turkey. All right, so just if you've never dealt with a turkey before, a fresh turkey or even a frozen one that's thawed, there are some things in here. Oh, the other thing is this turkey is brined. Okay, oh, and they've done, okay, so previously, in previous years, the brine turkey did not have the pop-up timer. Okay, not that you should use that as a accurate temperature gauge, but it does help to kind of give you an idea of what the temperature the turkey's at. So that's great that they did that. I'm going to do it on the tray. I'm going to bring this over to the sink, and I am going to, there's some liquid in there because it was brined. So I'm going to dump out that liquid. And if you're unfamiliar with brining, brining is just a process by which you take the turkey and you submerge it in a, trying not to use my hands here. It's a process where you submerge the turkey in a salt and sugar solution and let it sit. And what that does is that changes the juices of the turkey, which are, just the biological juices, to this salt and sugar brine mixture. Okay, so here are some of the things that you have in there. Okay, these are the giblets. This is the neck. Okay, and there should be, I think it's on the other side here. Nope. Okay. So those are the giblets, okay? The heart, there's usually, oh, they're both there. All right, so, and then this is the neck. This is going to be Roxy's little present, okay? Because she can eat the neck as long as it is not cooked. So usually I cook it with the giblets, and then she can't eat it. So I'm going to give it to her raw because she is able to eat it raw. Okay, so the other thing we're going to do is we're going to tuck the wings underneath. Okay, just so that we have kind of a fully functioning bird. Okay, because the wings, as you roast, they'll flap around. No pun intended. Okay, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to gently put my hand under the skin. Okay, so I'm going to make a little incision here, and I'm going to put my hand under that. And this is a great knife. It's called like a bird's beak knife, and this is really good for that because it really allows you to do that incision. And you just want to kind of make a cavity under the breast. And you have to be very careful with this. You have to make sure your nails are like trimmed really well for multiple reasons. You should always have your nails trimmed when you're cooking, but it's really essential that you have your nails trimmed so you don't break the skin. Okay, so you're just kind of making a little pocket between the skin and the breast here. Okay, and that's going to be because we're going to put some butter under there. Okay, the biggest problem, there's two problems that people don't generally like about turkey. It is they think the meat is dry. That's because they overcook it, and they think that that there's not a lot of flavor. Okay, that's because a turkey is a pretty lean meat. Okay, most poultry is because most of the fat is right here in the skin. So if you don't season it, then it's not going to have flavor. Okay, so wow, that is like the most perfect I've ever done that. Okay, so I'm gonna wash my hands, which is gonna seem a little counterproductive because I'm just gonna put my hands back in there with the butter. Okay, but let's wash them just so that we're not contaminating the butter. Okay. So I'm gonna grab this little bowl here. I'm gonna need these little bowls, so I'm gonna deal with that. Now I have my butter, and this is this Amish roll butter, which is a very, very, very delicious and flavorful butter. Okay, so I'm gonna just take some of that, and in this butter bell, the butter is kept at a temperature that's like very spreadable. Okay, so, and you know, it's a little cold in my kitchen today, so it's not entirely as spreadable. You know what? Let's use our good old friend Oscar. Okay, we'll soften things up. Okay, and we're going to use Oscar for a couple reasons. Because we're going to throw some shallots in there, too, and some garlic. And I think we'll put some parsley in there. Okay, so I'm going to... And this is the knife I used for the bread. The bird's neck, or the bird's beak one, was the one I used for that. So there's no cross-contamination here. Okay? And these are things that we're going to put into the turkey too. So I'm going to put that in. I'm going to put some garlic in. Like a big clove of garlic here. Just going to take off this. Put in our parsley. And I'm going to try and get like the top part of the parsley. I have the bottom part, and that I'm going to put into the cavity. And we're not going to really need that because we're not going to eat that part. So it doesn't matter what it looks like. Let's see. Put some pepper in there. I think we'll put some peppercorns in there. Okay. And Oscar will grind them up. And we'll put the garlic salt in there. Okay. All right, so we're going to whiz up that part. All right, and we got some nice, like, firm, cracked pepper in there, which will be great. And then I'm going to add some more of this butter too. Okay, it's the same butter, but I'd rather add it from here. Ooh, oh boy. All right. Okay. And I'm making a lot of this butter because we're going to use it on the bottom and on the top. Okay. Okay, and then I want to scrape down the sides here. Ah, this smells really good. Okay, and you know, turkey typically, again, you wouldn't think of as like a very, it's not, people don't think of it as fresh. If you add these kind of things to it, it will make it have a very fresh taste. Okay, our butter's getting stuck on top of the blade, so we're gonna have to kind of bring it down a little bit. Okay. Okay, I think we're good here. It's softened enough that it's spreadable. So we'll just transfer it to this bowl. And then we're going to spread it under. Okay. And what this is going to do is it's going to do a couple different things, actually. It's going to obviously baste and flavor the light meat, the breast, but it's also going to, because we're using that bag, it's going to kind of create this delicious base for our gravy. Okay, so you can see now it's much, the bread is, or the butter is very spreadable. So we're going to add that to our turkey. Okay, so I'm going to take part of it, and now we're going to just stay on this pan. Okay, I'm going to take part of it, and I'm just going to put it under there. Okay, in that pocket, that half of the, and then you could just, you don't have to put your hand under there now. You could just kind of work it through the pocket that you created. Okay, and then that way you can really kind of mush it into the chamber. And you could also get it a little bit further. Okay, so I can only go so far with my hand, but this, now that the channel's in there and we have the butter and herb mix in there, now we can kind of massage it to the rest of the breast. Okay, and this is going to look really beautiful underneath that skin. Okay, now here's the one downside, I would say, of this bag method. Okay, that mahogany turkey that comes out on the platter to be carved in front of the family in the Norman Rockwell things, you're not going to get that. Okay, it's not going to have that very dark colored skin. Okay, and most people don't eat the skin. Okay, so if you do eat the skin, if you do like that, you may be disappointed in this, but there is a workaround here. You can, once the turkey is cooked, or mostly cooked, if you're checking the temperature, you can then take it out of the bag and then crank up the heat a little bit, and then give it a kind of like a final roasting. The oven that I normally use, the roaster oven, that oven actually has a convection fan in it. So it's really great because I could leave that off, and then when we're at the end of the roasting, I could just kind of pop that on. Okay, so, and this'll melt into this. I'm being kind of careful around this pop-up timer just because it's already kind of sensitive there. Okay, So we have our nice turkey. Okay, now we're going to take this, now we're going to put it on the outside. Okay, and again, this is just to kind of secure the spices to it. Okay, so if it doesn't stick fully, that's fine. Okay, with my hand, I'm just going to massage in all that butter. Okay, we're going to put some in the cavity there. Okay, you can kind of heat it up in your hands, and you can just kind of sit it on there. Okay, you just want to get this into there. Okay, so we're going to put some of this turkey, or some of the butter, like I said, into the turkey cavity. Okay, and then we're going to put more on the outside. Okay, we're just going to kind of give it like a little pad of butter on the top. Okay, and then well, not really, we're almost done with that. Okay, so now we're going to put some things in the turkey and on the turkey. Okay, seasoning is really essential to get your bird very flavorful. Okay, so we're going to take a shallot, another shallot, and we're just going to kind of cut it in half, cut that in half, and those ends that we had, we're just going to throw them in. The garlic end, we're going to throw that in. Okay, we're going to take our parsley and we're going to cut the bottom part. Okay, we're going to push that in. Okay, we don't want the really nice part. I'm going to need that for something else. So I'm just going to push that in. We're going to put an onion in there, a sweet Vidalia onion. And I think we're only probably going to be able to put like half of that in. Let's see. Okay. And then a lemon. Okay. And the lemon is really going to make for a nice addition to this turkey. Okay. Because it's not going to make it taste lemony, but citrus really freshens up poultry. Okay. So we're just going to kind of pop that in there. And the other thing that the citrus does is it gives a little bit of acid, okay? So it adds kind of a acid to your turkey mixture. Okay, so we are almost ready to put this in the oven, okay? We're going to use this roasting pan, but like I said, everything goes into the bag here. Okay, so the bag is what we're actually going to cook it in. Okay, so I'm going to shake it one more time with the flour. Make sure it's all coated. And then we're going to pop the turkey in the bag. Now, this is where it helps to have sous chefs, okay, because this is a heavy bird, okay? So I'm going to put him over here. I'm going to put the bag over here. And then we're going to pick him up. And we're going to do our best to shimmy, shimmy, shimmy him in there. Okay? I'm going to put this turkey neck over there. And then we're going to get him in there. Oh, crud. All right. Well, see, There's the problem with using bags. Sometimes you break the bag. So we got to start over with the bag. Okay, which is fine. And we're going to put it on the side because he'll go in better that way. Okay. Fortunately, I think that's why they give you 2 bags, just in case your bag breaks. Okay. So we're going to put our flour back in there. Shake it. Okay. And since we're already in this bag, oh boy. Okay, we're just gonna shift them over there. We're gonna squeeze them out of this broken bag into the good bag. Oh man. Trying not to lose our butter. So. Put that there for right now. Pop back on our butter. Gently shift them in there. Okay. Almost. Okay. And then you got to tie them up. Okay. And this one didn't have the ties included, so the directions tell you if that happens just to make a tie out of the bag. So that's what I did, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, so we'll just, and then once you have your turkey in the bag, so to speak, okay, ready to rock and roast, and we can push our, you don't want to get it too much on there. Okay. Once, oh, crud. I didn't put my seasonings on. Great. Okay. See, this is why time is very important in the kitchen. Okay, you really want to make sure you have time and you're relaxed because sometimes you could forget things. Okay. Oh boy. All right. Not a problem. Okay, there's our, we'll just be able to reuse that. Okay, so we're going to put some garlic salt on there. You know what? We got to take them. Fear not. If for whatever reason this bag breaks, I do have backups. Okay, so being prepared is very, very helpful. All right, so let me re-expose that. And we're going to put our garlic salt on there. Okay. And remember, you could be generous with the seasonings. Most of this is going to, fall off into the juices. So I'm going to put some of this holiday staple, which is Bell's Poultry Seasoning, which is all the different, if you've ever heard that Scarborough Fair song, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme, that's what's in here, but it's all ground up. I hate rosemary. I think it's an extremely overpowering flavor. But in this application, all ground up with those other spices, it works out perfectly. This is a little onion powder. Okay. Anything else you want to put on there? Yeah, let's put some of this on there too. Okay, this is our shallot, our ground shallots that I got at the Asian market. So I'm going to put some of that on there. And then he's really ready to go back into the oven. Okay. All right. So we're going to put our turkey back together. I'm going to put my little pole here. Okay. Put that there. All right. All right. And then, okay, he's all ready. Now, we're just going to put a couple slits in here to vent. So you don't want the turkey to explode. So you do need to kind of put some vents in there. Okay. And he's ready to go. Okay. So we're going to pop them in the oven in the middle rack here. I'm going to wash my hands and then we're going to set the timer. Okay, so we're going to set it for about 2 hours and 30 minutes just to check. It may not be done by then, but at least we'll be able to get a gauge. Okay, so turkey's in the oven. I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning and then we'll get back to doing the sides. Okay, so bye for now, Kitchen Kings and Queens. Hi, Kitchen Kings and Queens. The turkey is done, as you can hear from the timer. So I'm going to take this beautiful bird out. Okay, and with all that delicious seasoning on top, we got a nice color on there from that seasoning in the butter. So before I open this up, I'm going to temp the turkey to make sure that it is at 165. Okay, and then we're going to kind of wrap it and let it sit and kind of cool down a little bit, and then we're going to cut it. Okay, so a good place to take it is in the thick part of the thigh here. Okay, and we are at, and you want to make sure you're not hitting any bones. Okay, so we are at 180. Okay, good. And just for good measure, we're also going to take one in the breast. Okay, 183. Let's see. Take one in this breast too. You want to get in as much as you can without hitting the bone, because the bone will give you an off measurement. Okay, so you can see here in the bag we got a lot of good juice. Okay, and we're going to use that both to make our gravy and also to keep our turkey nice and ready for the rest of the meal. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to slice the turkey and then we're going to put it on this tray here, and I'll show you how I slice my turkey. I'm actually going to slice the breast 2 different ways because my dad likes the long horizontal slices, but I think it's much nicer and you get a nice meatier piece of turkey breast when you cut it into thick slices. Okay, so for him, I'm going to make sure that he gets his half sliced the way he likes it, and then I'll slice the rest the other way. Okay, so we're going to put a little kitchen towel over this turkey and let it just sit here, and then we'll come back when we're ready to slice it. Hi, Kitchen Kings and Queens. Okay, we are back, and the turkey is ready. Okay, it is out of the oven. So we're going to cut that up and we're going to prepare that on the platter. Okay, so I'm actually going to use both of these trays. Okay, I'm going to cut open the bag here, and we're going to cut the top off. Okay, and we got a nice crust of seasonings on there from all the seasoning that we put under the skin. We have that beautiful butter that just basted all of that delicious meat. So I'm going to use a knife, or a fork, a kitchen fork, and I'm going to transfer this to the platter that I'm going to use. Okay, so you need a nice sturdy fork, and I'm actually going to use two. Okay, I'm going to use one on this side, and then I'm going to put one underneath, and we're going to lift it up. Make sure it gets free of the bag so that we have a nice clean lift. Okay, and the wings are a little, they're going to give us a little bit of problem, but that's okay. We'll just loosen them up and then we'll keep this. Okay, and we want this juice to kind of stay in the bag on this tray. Okay, so just make sure that this is all free. 1, 2, oh, front there too. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, good. So we're going to bring the turkey over here. Okay, and then we're going to take out all of the stuff that we had in the cavity here. So if you remember, that was a lemon. There was an onion in there and some parsley, a shallot. Okay, and these things have all done what they were supposed to do. They all flavored the meat, flavored everything. So we can just take those out, and I'm going to use them for stock. Okay, they may have a little bit of potency left in them. They certainly can't hurt adding to the stock. So what I'm going to do after Thanksgiving, you'll see once we're done carving this, I'm going to keep the carcass because that is going to give us a delicious stock. Okay, so we do not waste anything. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to look at cutting up this turkey. Okay, so we're going to pull out the pop-up timer. We don't need that anymore. Okay, then we're going to cut off the string here that's keeping the legs together because we want to cut off those legs. Okay, so now the legs are free, and we're going to cut under there and separate that. Okay, and then we're going to cut along the joint here. Okay. Okay. Man, this turkey is so tender. It's like, it's not even, I don't want to break off all the meat from the turkey. So I'm trying to keep this leg all together. Okay. There we go. And then we're going to take off the wing here. Okay. And these, they just kind of come right off. So there's the wing. And we'll do the same here. Okay, there's our wing. You know what? I'm actually going to cut this. And I don't want to cut it on my wood cutting board. So we're going to take our tray. I'm going to put that over there. Okay. Then we're going to get another cutting board that we're going to cut the breast on. Okay, so we're going to take off our meat here. Okay, and I'm just going to take off the drumstick here. And like I said, here's your thigh meat. Okay, so this is your dark meat for those that prefer the dark meat. And it's just, I don't even have to cut this. It's just like coming apart. Okay, so there's the thigh. Okay, we're just gonna cut out this bone, and like you can see, the meat is just, it's just coming off of the bone. So this is why I like using this method. Okay, because you get a really, just a deliciously tender and juicy turkey. Okay, then we're gonna cut here, and that'll give us the rest of the thigh under this bone here. Okay, so we got all that thigh meat. Okay, and we're going to cut the rest of that dark meat there. Wow, this is just, it's just a great way to make a turkey. Okay, then we're going to cut off, well, let's take off this other leg and thigh. Okay, so again, here's our wings. Okay, so we're going to put them there. Then we're going to take off our other thigh. And the leg, it's so tender that the leg is actually coming off with the thigh. Okay, so I'm going to cut off the leg here, and so that we can keep those together. Because we don't want to separate, like you could just kind of break that bone there. Okay, I'm telling you, it's like, it's hard to even carve this because the meat is just falling apart. Like, it's so tender. So there's more of our thigh. Okay, now we're going to cut our breast. Okay, now we did not break the skin, but the skin did break. Okay, what happens in the oven, okay, you have no control over. Okay, that's beyond your control. You only have control over what you can do before. Okay, so here is our breast, and when you want to cut that off in one big piece. Okay, and I would say you want to leave the skin on. Okay, So there's one breast. And here, oh, slippery bird. Okay, and then we want to cut on the other side. And a lot of people, and this is a good idea, and I wish I kind of did this. A lot of people cut off the like the wishbone. They cut that out because it makes this time or this point much easier. Okay, because we're kind of going around that wishbone. Okay, and again, we want to kind of try and get this as whole as possible. The skin has done its job, but it kind of pulled. Okay, so there's some more meat on here. There's some breast here. So I'm going to cut that for my dad in those big slices. He likes the long sideways slices. Okay. I don't want to do this on this tray. Okay, this is a big no-no. You don't want to carve on the tray. You want to carve on a carving board. Okay. So don't do that because otherwise you'll mar your tray. So I'm not going to do that anymore because I don't want to ruin my tray here. But I am going to just kind of pick off some of these parts. Okay, and this is what you're left with. This is the carcass. Okay, and it's a great, there's still some meat on there. So you can go back and pick that a little bit more. But I really want to prepare this tray. Okay, so I'm going to take these little bits off. I'm going to pour my juice in here because I don't want to waste anything. But I'm going to clean up this tray so that I can put the turkey on and it be presentable. So we're not washing it, we're just rinsing it. And this tray, when I got this tray, I just got it recently, I knew that this is what I wanted to put my turkey on because it's a perfect tray to serve meat. It's made in Denmark. It's a Denmark stainless steel. Usually I have this very, very, very adorable turkey tray, but it's so big and there's so few of us this year. So I'm just gonna use this tray. Okay, plus we're doing a buffet. So it's not like we need to have this all fancy dancy. Okay, we're not sitting down at the table, which is what we normally do. I almost never do a buffet on Thanksgiving, but this year I am. Okay, so we're going to position the legs there, and then we're going to put our wings. And wow, I mean, like the meat is just falling off. We're going to put them on the top and the bottom. Okay, our wings here. Okay, and they have a nice color on them. The legs have a nice color on them. So it'll be a really nice presentation. Okay, and then we're going to start with our thigh meat. Okay, so we're going to take out the bones. Okay, and put those aside. We're not going to get rid of them. We are going to use them for our stock. Never get rid of anything until you use it more than once. Okay, so we'll put our bones over here, and I'm just going to put them into the cavity here. Okay, that way they are there. And then we're going to just cut our dark meat into nice chunky pieces. Okay. And then I'm going to use my little food mover here. And I'm just going to put that, and we're going to put that in these little corners next to the legs. Okay. So that'll be a nice little presentation there. Okay. And then these little white meat, I'm just going to kind of lay them down as a base for my thick slices. Okay. So, oh boy. Okay, we'll have to switch knives here. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we got our fat there. I'll get that knife later. Okay, so we're gonna switch knives here and finish this dark meat. Okay, and again, we just want nice chunky pieces of the dark meat. Okay, I'll put that in this corner. Okay. And put some more on that corner. And you just keep mounding them up. Okay. And this is just, a very nice rustic bit of the dark meat. Okay. Take off that little bit there. Make sure it looks all really nice. Okay. All right. And we're just going to keep our, okay. There we go. Okay. So there's our dark meat. Now we're going to do our white meat. Okay. So I'm going to take this one because the skin's probably the best. And we're just going to use this one to cut our chunky slices. Okay. Okay. And we're going to kind of lay those out. Let's start on this end. The skin's together a little bit more there. And as long as most people are not going to eat the skin, but it gives a nice presentation. Okay. So we put kind of these smaller slices on the ends, and then these nice big thick slices we're going to put in the front. They're your showcase slices. Okay. Okay, and I got a lot of other things going on here. I got my potatoes boiling away to make the mashed potatoes. I have my water boiling for the macaroni and cheese. And then that's going to be for that. Okay. So those are your nice thick chunky slices. Okay. Now I'm going to take this other breast and I'm going to slice that the way my dad likes it. Okay. So we're going to take the breast and we're going to slice these long slices. Okay. Against the side. Okay. So you get this nice long slices that he loves. Okay. And there's benefits for both ways. Okay, so that's going to be the long side. I should have got out my carving knife. So usually I use my nice electric carving knife to carve the turkey, but I just didn't think about that. So we're just using a kitchen knife. This is actually a Santoku knife or Santoku knife. So I'm actually going to take off the skin on this side and we'll put it in there because it's kind of getting in the way of the slicing. Okay, so we just want to kind of get nice long slices. Okay, and this way everyone can get what they want from the part of the turkey that they want. Okay, for me, I love those big chunky slices. So that's where I'm going to be getting my turkey. I do think I like the breast, or I'm sorry, the thighs too. The thighs look really good. So I'm just going to cut up this into those big chunks and just kind of put that on there too. In fact, I think I'm actually going to save this breast meat because I don't think we need all this meat. And I think that it's going to just look a little, it's not going to look the way I want it to if I just pile on this turkey. Okay, so we're just going to keep what we have here. Okay, just want to show those nice slices. Okay, and then I'm just going to put this in a container. Okay, now we're going to take our, let me get the container actually. There it is. Okay, I'm gonna just put that turkey away for right now. Oh. Okay, our macaroni is ready. So we're gonna throw that in. It's like our, okay. So I want to make sure that all of this turkey is set aside. Okay, I'm going to take off the lid here for my potatoes because they're boiling. I'm going to put my mac and cheese in here. I'm sorry, macaroni. I'm going to throw a little salt in there too. I want to make sure our macaroni and cheese is seasoned. Okay. Give it a little, oh boy. Of course, my expensive sea salt fell over, but that's okay. We can, okay, so we'll let that boil for 9 minutes. Okay, our potatoes will probably be done then. Okay, so before I go with the turkey, we're going to take the carcass and bring that over here actually. I'm going to get my very, very, very useful tool for gravy making, which is up here. It is don't worry folks, I'm okay. All right, sorry, the tortilla the tortilla holder fell out and knocked over the tripod. Okay, so we're good. All right, so this is what we're going to use. Okay, this is a gravy separator. Okay, so I'm going to bring my turkey over here. I'm really tempting fate here. Okay. Just rest it on there. I want to get this carcass off the tray. And we're going to put it on this roasting pan. And then we want to pour this juice into our separator here. Okay. And so far, so good. All right. We're going to switch sides because the bag is getting in the way. Don't want that to mess things up. Okay, look at all these juices we got. So this is really a lot of juice, okay? And that's great because we need juice for this turkey. Okay, so I'm going to take the rest of this juice and we're just going to pour it especially over the white meat, okay? We want to keep that nice and juicy as it warms, okay? And then we're just going to have to kind of jiggle this bag so we get everything out. Okay, and this is why I really wanted to use this. When I saw this at the thrift store, I was like, oh, this is perfect for turkey. All right, you get down. As you could see, all the pets are very attentive. Okay, you're not allowed up there. Okay, so we are going to just get that all off, and we're putting it on there. Okay, put our tray in there, and then we're just gonna squeeze out all the last liquid from this bag. Okay, we really want to make sure that we get it all into this onto this turkey. And this is all the lovely juice from the turkey, okay? And we want to make sure that we get all of it onto the turkey there, okay? This is both giving all that flavor back to the turkey as well as keeping a little bit of moisture there, okay? Because what we're going to do now is we're going to put this onto the warming tray, okay? And I'm really trying to get, because there's so much delicious flavor in here that we want to make sure gets on our turkey, okay? So let me wash my hands here. While I'm down here, I'll pick up my knife. Okay. And there you have it. And you want to make sure everything looks very nice and presentable. Okay. So you don't want this tray to look dirty. So we're just going to wipe all the moisture off of the rim of the tray so that it looks nice and clean and presentable. Okay, so here is our turkey. Okay, so I'm going to give you that nice look. Then I'm going to take some aluminum foil. I'm going to wrap it up. And I'm going to put it onto the buffet. Okay. Okay. And we're going to put it on the warming tray here. That liquid will keep it moist while it heats up here. And this warming tray that I have here, this one is nice because it has like a temperature. You could do like a couple different options here. Okay, so I'm gonna do normal. Okay, and that will be there. Okay, I'm gonna take my appetizer and put that on there. Okay, I'm gonna put that on this tray, which is it's actually a tray. So I'm gonna put these lovely mushrooms. We're gonna turn back on our oven to 350. So we're ready to make our stuffing. Okay, but everything is getting ready. Okay, bye, Kitchen Kings and Queens.